want him, but he doesn't want to stay.
Pep told the world Eric Garcia was the perfect defender. Barcelona heard that and treated it like a scouting report. Not an opinion, not context, a solution.
We are going to try to convince him to stay here for many, many, many years.
So they bought him as the finished product, ready-made, plug and play, but inside Barcelona's Mascherano Void, a suicidal high line with no true corrector, that perfect defender becomes the wrong defender. The real villain isn't Eric. It's the Mascherano Void, the architect, Pep's defender template, and Barcelona's shortcut thinking. And the victim, Eric Garcia, exposed week after week in Flick's high line. Eric isn't the problem. The real problem? Barcelona keep buying Pep-style defenders for a team still living in the Mascherano Void. So this isn't just about whether Eric Garcia is good enough. It's about why he looks perfect in some systems and hopeless in ours.
He's not particularly quick, he's not particularly good in the air.
Making big mistakes.
My goodness, if that's the standard, if that's the bar that you have to clear in order to play center back for Barcelona, then everybody could play for Barcelona.
Put him next to Pep, he looks like a smart, modern center back. Drop him into Barcelona's suicidal high line with no corrector, and suddenly he's the wrong defender. Send him to Girona, and somehow he looks fixed again.
To Savio, what a cross! And Eric has scored!
So let's break this down. First, what Pep actually meant when he called Eric the perfect defender. Then, why Barcelona misread that and threw him into the Mascherano Void. And finally, how Flick's high line is making the exact same mistake all over again. Let's rewind to 2020. Pep Guardiola, the architect of modern football, said this about Eric Garcia. He's like a son. He was a captain of the academy. He's an incredible player. He doesn't make mistakes. He gives you rhythm. He knows exactly where his teammates are. High praise. But what did Pep really mean by doesn't make mistakes and gives you rhythm? He wasn't talking about tackles or last-ditch blocks. He was talking about control, distribution, security on the ball. Pep said, he's so intelligent. He guides the line incredibly well. He doesn't make mistakes. He listens and wants to learn, therefore deserves to play. Context is everything in football. To understand why Barcelona brought him home, you have to revisit the architecture of the hype. Guardiola's Manchester City is a machine, built to suffocate opponents. In that system, the center back is a deep-lying playmaker. They aren't defending 40 meters of open grass 20 times a match, because City rarely lose the ball. Inside that ecosystem, Eric Garcia looked elite. His progressive passing numbers were in the 99th percentile. He read pressure before attackers could even press. Pep didn't just see a defender, he saw a constructor. And when Pep Guardiola, the high priest of position play, calls you the future, people listen. Barcelona did. They believed they were signing the heir to Gerard Piqué, a La Masia graduate returning with a master's degree from the Premier League. But here's the twist. They bought a system player without owning the system. Pep's praise was real. It just came with a hidden asterisk, valid only inside a dominant structure. Barcelona read the headline. They ignored the fine print. They saw the passer. They ignored the athlete. From his very first touchback at Camp Nou, something felt different. In the Premier League, his lack of physical dominance was hidden by possession. At Barcelona, in a chaotic, transition-heavy side, it was exposed under the floodlights. The criticism was ferocious. Too soft, too slow. Can't head the ball. Stats can feel abstract. Moments don't.
Eric Garcia won it, then lost it.
Every time an opponent isolated Eric Garcia in space, a collective gasp ran through the stadium.
VAR get involved, the mad Aldi.
He wasn't solving problems.
What a mistake!
He was creating anxiety. This is where the Mascherano Void becomes obvious. As Gerard Piqué declined and the midfield grew porous, Barcelona didn't need elegance. They needed a monster. They needed the athleticism of Ronald Araujo. They needed the grit of Javier Mascherano. Instead, they had a conductor trying to lead an orchestra while the concert hall was on fire. He became the face of fragility, the scapegoat. The board had signed a luxury item when the house needed a security system. By the summer of 2023, the verdict felt unanimous. Flop. Case closed? Not quite. Now, picture the 2023 to 2024 season. Eric moves to Girona. On loan, smaller club, less pressure? Maybe, but pressure isn't the real story. The system is.
He's a very good footballer, great playing out from the back.
Under Michel, Girona FC played some of the most attractive football in Europe. And more importantly, Michel understood exactly what Eric was. He didn't ask him to be a gladiator. He asked him to be a quarterback in a protected role, sometimes even stepping into midfield. Eric was a revelation. He helped Girona secure historic Champions League qualification. His passing unlocked defenses. His positioning was calm, precise. He looked like the player Pep Guardiola promised. Why? Because he had cover. He had Daley Blind. He had David Lopez. He had structure. A system that valued the ball but didn't abandon him in 50 meters of open grass against pure sprinters. It felt like a redemption arc. Maybe the player wasn't broken. Maybe the environment was. He returned to Barcelona that summer, not as a reject, but as an Olympic gold medalist, a key figure in La Liga's surprise story. The stage was set for a second chance. Enter Hansi Flick, a manager whose philosophy can be summed up in one word: intensity, and one tactical non-negotiable: the high line. Flick's system is a high-risk, high-reward gamble. The defensive line pushes up to the halfway line to compress the pitch. It relies on two things: relentless pressing from the front and terrifying recovery pace at the back.
Even if he had won the ball, that's not how you defend.
Cubarsí has the anticipation. Balde and Koundé have the speed. Araujo is a physical anomaly. But Eric Garcia? Putting Eric in a Hansi Flick high line is like putting a Formula One car in a rally race. It's a fundamental mismatch of mechanics. When the press breaks, and it will break, the center backs enter a foot race.
And Garcia, so flicks it when he doesn't need to, because Koundé is where you are and I'm Garcia. And the ball comes from here. And instead of just leaving the ball to Koundé, then he kind of tried to go with his head, he flicks, he touches it, goes over Koundé's head, then Madrid get the ball back when they should not be nowhere near the ball.
This is the nightmare scenario. Eric's greatest asset, his brain, is nullified by his greatest liability, his legs. You can read the game perfectly, you can know exactly where the pass is going, but if you cannot cover the ground to intercept it, the knowledge is useless. Flick has praised Eric's attitude. He's tried to use him as a pivot, a desperate attempt to hide his lack of recovery pace while leveraging his passing. Even there, the physicality of modern midfields often swallows him whole. The Mascherano Void is wider than ever. The team needs a destroyer to cover the high line. They have a creator who needs covering. So, is Eric Garcia a failure? Yes and no.
He did quite well when he came out with the ball. He started later on in the second half, starting their moves, but he had all the time in the world to play at that particular point. I just don't see what his attributes are. He doesn't read danger. If you're not particularly quick and you're not good in the air, you have to read danger.
He remains a beautiful footballer. In the correct context, give him a low block, or a back three with fast partners, or a Manchester City level of possession. He shines.
He sometimes has been preferred to Ronald Araujo because of that very reason, the fact that he's able to find the ball from here to there.
The tragedy of Eric Garcia isn't that he lacks talent, it's that he was shaped for control in a game that now rewards chaos. He reads the play beautifully, he understands space, but modern football doesn't wait for you to calculate it. Barcelona didn't just need intelligence anymore. They needed resistance, they needed recovery speed, physical dominance, a defender who could survive isolation, win duels in open grass, and still stand when the system collapses around him. Eric represents the philosophy. But when that philosophy breaks down, someone else steps forward, someone who doesn't just interpret space, someone who defends it with force. And that's where Ronald Araujo enters the story. Not as a stylist, not as an architect, but as Barcelona's last line of defiance.